Then we come here with the Storm taking on the Rabbitohs. Both teams come into this game with 4 wins from their last 5. Let's talk about that top stat before we even get into the team list. Head to head, they have played 38 games since 1998. The Storm have 32 wins and the Rabbitohs 6. Talk to me about that stat.
Yeah, it's one of their bogey teams, the Melbourne Storm, for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. No matter what they can do, they could be high as a kite, running full steam ahead to just another win for another round, and they either go down to Melbourne or they host Melbourne at ANZ Stadium or Core Stadium, whatever you want to call it. I call it the Telstra Stadium from the 2000 era. And yeah, they just seem to, for some whatever reason, just come up with a loss. Sometimes they get a win. It is surprising. They do get a win every now and then, but 32-6 is just not good.
It definitely isn't. It's definitely a hoodoo team, and I think every year when you look at the draw, if you're a Rabbitohs fan, you go, please only give us Melbourne ones. Please only give us Melbourne ones. But we sit here. This is the second time they'll play Melbourne. Melbourne did beat them at ANZ, Accor, Telstra Stadium, whatever you want to call it. But let's look at the Melbourne side. You've got Nick Meaney, Will Warbrick, Remus Smith, Justin Olam, Xavier Coates, Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes, Big Nelson, Harry Grant, Christian Wells, Trent Leore, Alicia Katoa, Josh Kin in the 13, with Bronson Garlick, Aaron Penne, Tom Eisenhuth, and Tarek Sims on the bench. The current 18th man is Tyron Wishart, with Grant Anderson, Tapei Maroa, Jordan Grant, and Jonah Pizzette on the extended bench. So, Baxter, what do you make of this Melbourne Storm side coming into the game?
Yeah, Nick Meaney's hit his he's found his feet and he's found his momentum and form in the previous weeks. Excuse me. It is a bit of a late one here for me, but yeah, I think he's really grown into the jersey at the Melbourne Storm. There's no rush on Ryan Papenhuyzen to come back earlier than expected.
It's actually been pushed back. So I was gonna touch on that point, but you did bring it up. There's uncertainty now of when Ryan Papenhuyzen is going to come back. It looks like it's going to be a further setback for Paps.
Yeah, because he's got a muscle deformity in his leg, and that is due to the injury he sustained and being off it for so long. The muscles in the leg they go weak, and you just got to basically train them up again to be like they were once before. I know my wife had to go through a lot of physio to get to that extent, and I think she did a little bit worse than Ryan Papenhuyzen, but she's on her feet. She's muscles are slowly getting back to 100%. But if I can understand where Ryan Papenhuyzen is at, I can understand with just seeing how my wife went through all that with her injury. So not enough on that, but you got Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes is probably one of the best halves pairing going around in the NRL at the moment. Nelson's back. Harry Grant's playing well. Christian Welsh. It's good to see that he's injury-free so far. I know they missed him all of last year with that ACL and Achilles injury. So, again, I know I say this with every team, but this is a strong lineup, 1-17, on and off the park. So it's going to be hard to look past them regardless of who their opponents are.
Well, who they are playing Baxter, I'll throw it across to you. It is the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Talk to me about this squad.
You got Latrell Milk in the fullback role, Alex Johnson and Tane Milne in the wing position, Isaiah Tass and Campbell Graham in the centres. Cody Walker, Lachlan Ilias in the halves pairing, Tavita Tavola, Hame Sele in the forward position, Damien Cook in the hooker role, MCK, not to be confused with Machine Gun Kelly, and Jacob Host in the second row position with Cameron Murray rounding out the lock position, Jed Cartwright, Jai Arrow, Liam Knight makes his return from his Achilles knee injury from last year in the wet. Thomas Burgess to round out the interchange bench with Josiah Capra Pani in the 18 jersey, with Blake Taft, Daniel Fafita, Ben Lovett, and Dean Hawkins to make out the 22-man squad for the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Can I just say, how good is the feeling when you get up to a name like Josiah's and you look at that last name and you go, how the hell am I going to say that? And then you look to the other side, you got Blake Taft, Daniel Fafita, Ben Lovett, Dean Hawkins.
People just, I don't understand. Look, I understand you want to have some you want to keep your last name, but I reckon once you come into the NRL, it should just be like, all right, Josiah, that's Josh, Keith. Josh Keith, that's your new name now. From now on, Josh Keith, like that, to make it easier for everybody.
Well, you know what? We might leave that one next. I don't want to piss off any nationalities that are watching this because we know what happened during the Rugby League World Cup and some of the comments that you did cop with some of your calls. So
look,
we'll leave that bit there. But
the
obviously,
Samoans love me. The Tongans, not so much because I ruled them out. But look, I'm not having a go at his name, but I think it should just be. You know what? Maybe the players should just every year, or once you make your NRL debut, you stand in front of a camera and they go, "How do you pronounce your name?" And then they just go, blah blah.
Well, that doesn't work because Joseph Suali'i is gone to Joseph Suali'i or Suala'i or Joseph. Like they change their name. Joseph
no. That way, you get the player in front of the camera and you go, "How to pronounce your name?" And that's how we're going to pronounce it.
If you ask Joseph Suali'i what his name was in round 1, it would have been Joseph Suali. Now it's Joseph Suali'i. It's changed.
No. This should be a rule from the NRL. As soon as you make your NRL debut, get your name, how you want to pronounce it, how you want it pronounced, correct. And then once you're on screen, you say, my name is Tony. And they go, all right, he's Tony. Righto, okay, we'll run with it. And then when they go, oh, no, I'm Tony with an I. No, mate, you said it was Tony. That was it.
Well, I will say South Sydney did take the piss out of that a little bit, and a few clubs did take the piss out of it with having players actually get in front of a screen and say what their name was. And I think it was Cookie who came on and went, Demian Cookie. So he did have a little bit of a fun with that. So maybe we can't trust the players to come in and tell us what they want to be called because if you've got a bit of a character, who knows what you're going to get. But this is a strong side, and like you said, it's brilliant to see Liam Knight come back from an injury. He did play New South Wales Cup last week, so it'll be good to see him get some minutes under his belt at Magic Round if he stays there. If not, you've got Fafita on the bench, you've got Ben Lovett, you've got Blake Taft, you've got a strong extended bench that can come in and replace him if needed. This is a tough game. This is probably arguably the toughest game, I guess. Well, actually, there is a tough one coming up, but this is probably one of the most exciting and toughest games coming up at Magic Round. It really is a toss of a coin. I think what's notable to mention is the Storm are coming off a bye. So that they did play, obviously, Anzac. They didn't have to back up 5 days later. They had the bye. That's allowed even the likes of Tom Eisenhuth to be listed on the exchange bench where if he would have had to have played last week, he probably doesn't make this week's game. So it is definitely interesting. They are rested. But you said it, the milkman. I don't know if he will be the milkman once Jack Whiting gets down there. I think Jack Whiting had a little bit of pull.
Even Jackie and Milken South Sydney all the way to a prem.
No, but what I'm saying, mate, you're the one. I've got group chats where you said they're not going to win a premiership in the next 4 years. So let's pipe down a little bit.
I reckon they do. But I'm allowed to change
obviously, the milkman, Big Jackie's coming from Canberra, so maybe he'll want to be Jack White, the milkman, and Latrell Mitt can be back to Troll Mitt. But it is a toss of a coin game, and obviously, I've got to give my prediction on the podcast. It's going to stay, but I think I will be tossing a coin throughout the week of who am I going to pick in my footy tipping. But given the record, I get that. The record's a massive blow. They're coming off the bye. You know, I've changed my tip 5 times in my head just while I've been talking right now. Like, I have gone back and forth as I keep saying stuff, but I'm going to say, if you're a betting person, either team by less than 10, but I'm going to go Melbourne Storm 1-12 coming off the bye.
Oh, well done. We picked another one together.
I will happily change my tip if you want me to South.
No, mate. Look, I'm the one with the paper and the pen. I've already circled my tip, so there's no need for me changing my tips. But it's just whatever you pick is just whatever you pick, and if it matches mine, well, somehow you've got a camera in here.
Talk me through how you got to the Storm 1-12 before we jump on to the next game.
South have this. South have this thing at Magic Round where they can score. I think it's about 22.5 points on average at Magic Round. This is off the top of my head. I just really quickly looked at it as you were talking. So I think it's about 22.5 points at Magic Round. So and Melbourne like to play at about 24.3. If my math is correct, but I could be totally wrong. So that's why I've gone 1-12, and based on the head-to-head, I've gone Storm.
You know what? Yeah, I really could toss a coin either way, but I'll stick with Storm 1-12. My tips probably won't be Storm coming into the game because I do think this is a game where both these clubs can go head-to-head, 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 head-to-head. It just so happens that almost like that voodoo behind you of, yeah, you might be up by 12 against the Storm, but we're going to come back and get you because we've done it 32 times. I think that's what worries the Bunnies, but I do give the Bunnies a massive chance here, but I'm going to go Melbourne 1-12. We're going to keep